And welcome back. The African Diaspora International Film Festival is a global film festival aiming to inspire creativity, challenge stereotypes, and foster a shift in attitudes, perpetuating injustice. The festival provides a distinct platform for showcasing artistic expressions within the African diaspora in cinema. And joining me now and sharing more is the co-director and co-founder of the African Diaspora International Film Festival, Dr. Reinaldo Barroso-Spech. And then Faith and Blackness, an exploration of AfroLatine spirituality film. Director, we got Charles Reynoso, and then also producer and editor Michael A. Lopez. And gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being with us here on the show. And I'll start off first of all with Dr. Reinaldo. As we talk about this in the film festival, we know that injustice is prevalent right across our communities and particularly inner city communities. And I know that some of this film festival really tackles just that. Talk to me about the background towards this film festival.
Well, the film festival started with the intention of putting forward the stories of people that are seldom known around here. In the particular case of the Latino experience, we realized that the notion of Latino was surrounded by a lot of confusion. Latino is not a race. So we were able to interact with filmmakers, with writers who had worked on the Latino experience, and we found films that from the very beginning were part of the programming. Um, Near that, parallel to that, we also learned a little bit more about the First Nation groups that are all over Latin America, and then we realized the commonalities between the groups, those who were already there and those who were brought by force, but at a certain point they converge. So we start looking for films that depicted those stories, and it has become an important part of the general selection of the film festival. I don't need to tell you that today, with the technology and more financial support, Latin America is producing a large number of films. But we still see an erasure of people of African descent and indigenous people in many of those films. So what we are trying to do with our means, resources, is to bring to New York City and the other cities where we have activities, films about those people, uh, because we think that those stories are an important component of the Latino experience. The
Yeah.
Latino experience is rich, is diverse, and people of African descent and indigenous people are the strong component of it, and they keep enriching that general experience that we call Latino experience.
Yeah. Let me bring Michael in. When we talk about the experience, you are really the producer and editor for Faith and Blackness, and that's an exploration of Afro-Latino spirituality. Why do we find Afro-Latino spirituality of essence that you want a wider population to become so familiar with?
Well, I think the story is a powerful story, as the doctor just expressed. There is a wide variety of people within the ethnic group that is called Latino, Latine, Latinx. And so we wanted to celebrate the spiritualities therein. I think when you think of African spiritualities in particular, they're often limited to Western African faith traditions, and Latino people often have a certain perspective on those stories. So we just wanted to divulge so much more about the kind of spiritualities that are practiced. There is a Buddhist in our film. There is a Muslim woman in our film. There are people of Western African faith traditions, multiple Christians and Catholics. So what we found was that there is commonality that can be found. And so just as the doctor was expressing how the indigenous cultures, the first people cultures, and African culture can have overlap, we found that same tonality, that same experience with our spiritual groups, our people of different faith traditions. And we want part of that justice that you were talking about in the beginning. Justice can also be injustice can also incur when we're saying, "Oh, we're all different. We have nothing in common. And we should be separated." So I think that togetherness, that jointness, that story of people in this particular case are telling stories of how can we decolonize our faith. How can we decolonize our culture, and in this case, particularly their spiritualities? And we found that really powerful, and we think others will find it powerful as well.
Yeah. Charles, as the director, talk to me about what you want people to see, and ultimately, what is it that you want people to take away from this particular film?
So we actually struggled with that ourselves right in the beginning, because as we were talking to the folks, they had so many different stories, and there was one theme that really came across from all of them, and it was the idea that if you exist under a structure that dictates a part of your life, then that structure should love you as much as you love yourself, and it should incorporate all of who you are versus erasing a piece of who you are. There were a few themes, like one, I want Latinos to know that Latinos are Black, right? Latinos are Asian, Latinos are white, Latinos are indigenous. Like, Latino is not a race, right? So, like, folks will come in every single kind of face and every single kind of faith. Like, we are not a monolith, and so it's important to know that while there is something that ties us, there's also a lot of beauty and, like, what makes us, like, varied from each other.
Yeah. And so I want to explore this word of the triple consciousness, because we talk about the concept of triple consciousness. This is something that you guys bring out. And who would like to speak to the triple consciousness?
Well, triple consciousness is a term that was coined by our mentor, Miriam Jimenez Roman, the late Dr. Miriam Jimenez Roman. She was an amazing person, and we encourage you to go and check out the AfroLatina Reader. It is one of the great books on the subject of Black Latinidad and really describes it well. And it's just beautiful stories, so it's not just an academic piece. And that term, triple consciousness, is something that she coined to express the experience of being Black in your physical, phenotype, how you present to the world, being Latin American, Latino, of a South American or Caribbean community, and being American, being in the U.S., specifically in the U.S. And so those three consciousness are totally unique in their experience, and I think many of us experience that triple consciousness. So yours might be in sexuality and other elements of identity like culture. But that thing of being in three mindsets is the experience of many of us who are saying, for example, I am of African descent, but I have never been to the continent, right? And so I can honor and celebrate that culture that has been bestowed to me, both genetically and in my practice. But that doesn't mean that I have the same connection to it. I am bestowed with a more present and prevalent U.S. Western culture in which I live, right? So my mind, my mind is filled with those different perspectives. Many of us have that experience. For example, someone with a darker skin complexion, right, might be experiencing, I'm Black, therefore I am not Latino. Why are you speaking Spanish, right? Many of our colleagues and friends and the folks that we interviewed over time have told us these same stories. And so that's what triple consciousness is kind of sitting in multiple places and sometimes having to jump across those identities, which we hope people don't have to do.
So for people who want to find out and really participate in this film festival, let's give them some information as to how they can reach out, how they can be a part.
Well, the website is nyadiff.org. There's also a phone number, 212-864-1760. And they can reach out to us and get information directly on the website, and particularly going to the different venues and find brochures over there. So we are out there.
Yeah. What's it like working with each other? I mean, obviously, a lot comes to the table to put this together, but talk to me about the sentiment of what it's like working with each other.
Well,
I can talk about what it's like.
I'm sorry. Talking from the
Okay.
perspective of a festival organizer, we get submissions to the festival. And in other occasions, we look for films. If you look at the Latino selection in this event, there are many films that are going to be a premiere here in New York City. We went out there, found them, watched them. We attend many festivals, general festivals like the Cannes Film Festival and a specialized festival like the Chicago Latino Film Festival, for example. So we were exposed to the work. We considered that the work was appropriate for what we do, and some of them made it to the selection because I must tell you, we have limited resources and we do not program all we want because of that. Uh, the filmmakers, the producers, they have a different chemistry. So, I mean, I let them talk.
First off, I want to say thank you for choosing us for the festival. It was so beautiful to be part of such a collection of films. So I really appreciate it. Just to say, when it comes to working with Michael and I'm pointing in a direction. I don't know where he is in this call, but Michael and I have actually we've been friends for like over 2 decades, and we've been working together on random art things over the course of all that time. So like when I think we both reached a point where this was something that was really important to both of us, and so creating art together became fairly easy. I say some crazy idea, and then Michael says, here's a better way to do that idea," and then I'm like, "Ooh, but what if we had pictures?" And Michael's like, "Here's some really great ways to do pictures," right? And so we have a really really good collaboration. We went to school together, like we were both we studied the same stuff at Lehman. We were both from the Bronx, so it was really easy for us to find that flow. And being Afro Latino, it was like this was content that was super easy for us to connect on.
Well, gentlemen, I want to wish you definitely the best of success, and thank you for joining us here on this segment. And a lot has been shared, and hopefully a lot of people partake. So thanks all for being with us.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
No worries. And listen, for more information, find out more about the film at faithandblackness.com. And then for more information, you can also visit the website at nyadiff.org. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open right after this.